Here it is. Okay, how are the audio levels? Good. They're good. I don't think I should make it louder. I think it's sensitive enough. Okay, I have this set up, my tea. It's an important part of the Come Think With Me series. It's now becoming a series because that's the third one I'm doing. The first two, if you haven't seen them, they were in Portugal, in Porto. I talked about the fact that you already know the language you're learning. That was the title of the first one. And the second one was, what was it? Learning a language because it has many speakers isn't a valid reason. So in both of those episodes, I had like a free flow speech about those prompts, and now I'm about to do it with a third prompt. So welcome to the video. Relax, do like me. It's currently 10 p.m. in Montreal, so it's close to bedtime, and I'm having my tea, and now we can start. The prompt I have for today is the idea I want to challenge is you need to structure your learning when you approach a new language. And that's one that I resonate with because it's kind of opposing scholars, academics, and then like freestylers such as myself that don't have any method, that don't I can't really say that I don't document, but like I said, a free flow, a freestyle learning. I do what I want to do, what I feel like doing. I make some observation from that, but I never have any plan or any path I particularly want to take. I get guided by my intuition, by my curiosity, and that's how I was successful at learning English first because I'm a French citizen, and I learned English when I was a kid. Then I learned Spanish. Then I learned Ukrainian, and then now Portuguese. I wouldn't say my learning is completely unstructured, but I wouldn't say that it's not constrained, right? So the difference is that, of course, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna wait for it to come. Like I have some actions I can take, but that won't constrain the learning. The actions I would take are maybe go seek some other learners or go speak to native speakers, plan a trip, or whatever that can be in that realm. It's never like, okay, first I will learn the present, and then after the past, and then future, and then move on to the subjunctive mood. I don't believe in that, and I'm gonna explain you why. But so, like I said, it's opposing like the two philosophies that you can kind of find in life in general. I know it gets philosophical, but I think that in language learning, this applies even more. And I do think that there are some advantages to structuring, but I don't think the cons. I think the cons outweigh them, and that you should maybe try to approach a more of a free flow approach based on curiosity and like genuine interest. I talked about this a lot on this channel. And I also want to talk in this video, I hope I remember, but not right now, but I hope I remember. I recently did a short on YouTube, and there was an extract from the first one. And I realized that I said something like, you don't learn a language, you grow into it, you adapt to it, you become the person that speaks that language. And I said, that's the subject for another video, and I didn't do that video, so it's gonna be this video. But anyway, so I think that the pros of structuring language learning is to I wouldn't say the pro, it's more like an aspect of it. An aspect of it would be to avoid some fears. because it's scary. It's true. Like even if I've been learning languages for more than 2 or like around 3 years now, it's always scary to approach a new language because you don't know if it's going to make it. You don't know if you're going to like it. You don't know if it's going to go well. There's nothing that can tell you how it's going to go until you actually do it. And having this structure ahead of you, this plan you might follow. So, like getting a tutor. I don't think getting a tutor is a bad thing, but that's one of the examples. Getting a tutor, having some lesson plans, some study plans, getting some grammar books, all of that. I think that this sets the frame for something predictable, something controlled, something that isn't scary. And I was writing down in my notes not too long ago that it's good until it prevents you from actually doing what makes you learn. Because I talk about this in my videos where I talk about my experience with languages. And a lot of the time what comes again and again is that there is this first phase where you need to get hooked, or you need to get more interested, have some more interest in the language, and some of that can be studying some grammar books or just like looking up stuff online. And it's, I'd say, an important phase of language learning, and this one can kind of be anything, it's all good. When it goes wrong and when it takes like forever to learn a language is when you fall in the trap and you just go deeper, trying to understand everything and not actually go and use what you already know. And that was what I was talking about in the first episode. So I think that there is more to win and there's more to experience if you just like let yourself look around for like the first, I can't give any time frame, but for as long as you are curious and you're discovering the language, once you become more familiar with it, I think it's good just to try to act on it. When I say that, I mean try to get in contact with the people that speak the language and get in contact with that language, period. And when you will do this, it will feel odd because there's no guideline, there's no rail, there's nothing you can follow. What you can follow is your intuition. That's it. You go, let's say, at an event where the people that speak the language you're learning will be. Well, once you meet them, it's going to be a fall. Like, I wanted to compare this to like a fall drop. So it's like, oh my god, what's happening now? Kind of sensation. And thinking about it, I get sweaty. I've experienced this many times, or like as many times as I've learned languages, even a few times per language. And it's awful. It sucks, right? It's like you feel hopeless. You feel like it's gonna go so wrong. It's awkward. Everything at once. But then after this phase, you get like the kickback, right? You kind of like, you have to interact with the people you're with, and otherwise, like, why are you here? And you're forced to. It's like your human nature to do so. And when you do this, then it becomes like, oh, okay, I see like how deep I can go, how deep it can, how scary it can be. And now that I've seen it, now that I've been this far in the discomfort, it doesn't seem as scary anymore. And I can say that the more you do it, the more like you accept that, oh, there's gonna be this. I like the image of the fall drop. It's like you think that you know something, and then you get confronted to it for the first time, and you actually need to use that, and like, no, actually you don't. I feel like it's a good comparison. It's a good metaphor. And I was saying, when you do it a few times, you realize that, well, okay, it's not that bad, and then there's something afterwards. It's not just like suffering. After that, you create bonds through those awkward moments. It's funny, but it's true. You do create bonds, and the most important bond you're creating is yourself with the language. Once you have this emotional attachment through negative experience, it's so hard to forget it. It's so hard to stop thinking about the language. And then it becomes apparent what you have to do. It's just natural, I'd say. You go see people, you hang out with those friends you made in that language, using that language. It will be better to say that. And sometimes you will need some. Oh, sorry, my phone just. Oh, I'll put it in. I'll put it in do not disturb. It's better. I'm back. What did I say? So yeah, once you're interacting with those friends or seeing them again, hanging out, what you will need to know is going to be pretty damn apparent, because you won't know how to use it. You won't know how to say it. And once you go through those situations, it can be by text or in real life. Well, it's just like lining up the trail for you, right? The path. You just have to look up how to say that. Maybe then you can go search your grammar book. Then you can look up a video. How do you say this in this language? Or how to use that in this language? Then you can use Google Translate, just like look it up and see, right? And then if it's on the moment, you can use it. It kind of creates the first impression of it on your brain. But the reality is that when you will do this, it won't like automatically become scripted in your brain, like it won't become automatic right away. It might happen like twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times sometimes, and then afterwards you'll be comfortable with that subject, with that with whatever you were struggling with in the first place. And that's how I go around learning a language. I struggle answering, like, when people ask me, oh, what's your method? Well, I just trust my gut, try to socialize, and follow my intuition. That's what I can tell them. But like, it is so vague. There's nothing concrete about that, and I agree, it's not. And it's because it's something that is so dependent on your emotions, on your subconscious. I always talk about the subconscious, but it is because I'm not thinking about how to speak right now. I'm thinking about what I'm speaking, right? My mouth just follows what it's been training to do for 10 years now. But anyway, so yeah, I struggle answering the question, like, what's your method? And then yeah, I answer this and they don't understand why. And a lot of people go around like they a lot of people picture or like imagine that language learning is a skill, right? And I used to believe this too, but then the more I temper with language learning, with learning other languages and thinking about my experiences, observing other people around me that learn languages, the more I think that it is more than a skill, because it's a communications tool. It's the most important one, right? With body language, and one can argue that body language goes with language learning, because when you learn a new language, you learn a new way of speaking, like you place the ideas differently in a sentence and everything, but you also learn how to move like the natives do. It's I get it. It's harder, and it's even hard to understand this concept, but what I was saying is it's a communication tool. So it's, I'd say, like the skill. If it's, maybe it's not a skill, it's the skill. And in that sense, I don't think you can learn this only through reading or only through listening or only like through a certain method. I think that the experiences you need to acquire the skill of speaking in another language are very broad and diverse. And when you try to condense everything in one book, in one PDF, in one video, whatever it might be, you can't talk about all this. And most importantly, you cannot make the user or the reader or the watcher experience all of that. Even if you write it down on paper and you set down all of the rules, if even if there's everything that you should know to learn a language, by reading it and by watching something like this, it won't be internalized. It won't be understood by the learner, because when you teach, you know what you're teaching. It's normal. It's logic, right? It's logical. I teach French. I know how to speak French. When I explain something, it makes complete sense to me. But the person that's receiving or like that I'm teaching doesn't know yet, and it's very hard to explain with words what words mean. It's really hard, or how words, how order can affect a meaning, or how certain words have different meanings and very subtle meanings or distinctions between one another. So that's also a reason why I think that you should try the free flow method or the lack of method when you approach another language, because that's in the scenarios where you don't have any script, where it's unpredictable, when you can't control what's around you. Let's say like if you're meeting a group of people, you're in a foreign country, you're trying to get tickets for the train, then all of this is going to be laid in front of you, but in a way that you can understand, because there's going to be some actions related to everything, right? I don't want to go into specific languages, but let's say with Ukrainian or Russian, there's davai. Davai is something that can mean so many things, right? It can be like let's, like as in let's go, or come on, or I mean, like, you can't translate this word to English. And there are many words like this in French. I did videos about that on my channel. The last one being with on e, that you can absolutely not translate to other languages. Maybe there's some other, but I'm not aware of it. And those notions are super complicated to like explain with the words. If you want to explain like davai with a PDF or with a video, if you don't use examples, it's not going to be understandable. But even if you use like the best examples in the world, and even if you use everything that, or like if you put all of the chances on your side, it's still going to be close to impossible to grasp for someone that has never heard davai used in a sentence. So my approach addresses this by experiencing what davai means. So if you're around people that use davai and then they use it, you hear it, you get like confused, like why, what does it mean? And then there's some action after that, and then there are some reactions. There's also the tone. Tone is really important, and I think that you can emulate this with some movies maybe, but again, movies are not the reality. People don't speak in the movies in real life as they do in the movies. It's kind of different, but I think you can emulate this, and it can bring a layer of understanding, especially when you are good enough in the language just to understand almost everything in the movie, and you can absorb large quantities. I think that with quantity it works better. But when you witness it in front of you, and especially when someone uses it for you, because now like your limbic system is going to be all alert, or your primitive brain is going to be all alert because someone is talking to you, they're expecting an answer, they're expecting something from you, and it's like a high stake conversation, how I call them. So the outcome depends on whether or not you're able to answer. Then the word divide just becomes like very, very clear. It's like you cannot explain it when you learn this. Like I said, all subconscious. It speaks to your subconscious, because when someone acts in a certain way, you can't explain why you think they act in this way, because it's like their body movement, it's their voice tone, even smells. Sometimes I do think there's still some pheromones that can, or at least for animals, but I think maybe for humans, I have to fact check this. I'm getting off track, but you understand what I mean. If there is some context, if there is some some stakes, then it will become like really clear what a word means. But this method needs a base, right? Not a base in as in like for languages, but you need something. It's not like the base of a language, it's like a base. It can be anything. What I tell people is just look up what you feel curious about. Just go check it out. Go watch the video about it. Go look it up on Google Translate. And then this can take some time, but when you get better at language learning, it gets faster and faster. It doesn't really matter. After that, you know that your interest is rising and you want to get in contact with the culture and the people that speak the culture, and then the real work starts. So if I have to sum up what I've been saying in this video, it's like if you try to control everything and stay in controlled environments, keep it predictable, it's not going to be easy at all, and it's going to be long, very long, and very, I'd say, like inefficient, and also less entertaining, because making friends is fun, having conversations is more fun than just like reading a textbook. Whereas if you adopt the free flow method, can I call it like this? It's not a method, it's like no method. It's going to get easier for you just to go study, because it's just going to be, well, I'm curious about that, I'm going to look it up. It's not like studying per se, it's more like opening your curiosity valves. So if you adopt this, you will have some hard moments, but those hard moments are going to be decisive for your learning. Not in the sense that if they go wrong, you won't learn, but in the sense that if you don't have them, you won't learn, because embarrassment at the end of the day is momentary. Like, you can remember it for a long time, but people forget all of that. So what I'm saying is, you need to build a base, not the base, but a base for the language you're learning. Go look up what's interesting for you, watch some videos, get your interest up, and then after that, go confront yourself to the real world, to the people that speak that language, to the culture itself, and then make some friends, or at least like build some rapport with the people that speak the language, and go back to it. But that shouldn't be hard. If you like have some social skills, or if you meet some cool people, shouldn't be hard at all. And then after that, every time you spend some time with those friends, you text, you call them, or whatever, what you will need to learn will just be highlighted by life. It will be like, oh, I don't know how to say call you, as in phone. So I'm looking it up. Oh, okay, we'll say like this. Oh, so I'll say it on when I text, or I will say in the conversation, and over and over, and then maybe you'll have to do it a few times, but you get it. Okay, my camera is almost out of space, so I don't want to compromise the rest of the video. thank you very much for watching. It was very fun to do this free flow thing. I tried to keep it as consistent as possible, but it's not easy. But anyway, thank you for watching, and bientôt.